Hey Mark, how you doing?
Oh, I'm all right. Cheers, Cam. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah, so we're back on our monthly episode.
Yes.
And back on it. We've got lots to talk about today,
Yep.
and in particular, um, obviously there's been a lot going on worldwide because of a certain Mr. Trump. Now we're not here to discuss whether we are Trump supporters or not, but we're just looking
No.
at facts, uh, as it were, and Trump's recent Trump's tariffs, as they're neatly called. And we want to see if they're going to affect us and other photographers and videographers. So we thought this would
Mm.
obviously be the right time to jump on this and just to find out is what is actually happening, because
Yeah.
it is a concern, isn't it?
Well, yeah, of course it is. I mean,
And
oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. It absolutely is a concern. I mean, it affects us all, really. And it's all out of our hands as well, which is kind of annoying. There's nothing we can do about it. But it's really going to affect the American people, I think, more than
yeah,
straight away
yeah,
anyway.
it's straight away. That's right. Yeah. So it says here, and I'm going to refer to. There's a few sites, but the main ones are Digital Camera World. I've been looking on the Faux Blogger as well, fauxblogger.com,
Hmm.
which is a good site as well. Okay, and going from a lot of that, it says here, and just sort of reading this, so we're accurate. It says according to BBC. Trump has levied 125% tariff on goods imported from China.
Hmm.
And obviously, this is at the time of recording this. It says
Yeah.
following Beijing's announcements that tariffs of 84% were imposed on US imports, which actually did change yesterday when I think China put them up higher.
Right.
Um, and it said Trump called this a lack of respect and said that he informed countries if they retaliated, he would double it in only the way that Trump actually can say that. Now, when China when China retaliated, this happened. Okay, he did double it. But it says, on the other hand, this move has already resulted in a few companies such as Moment and Blackmagic increasing the prices of their photographic gear, which is going to affect everyone. It says, while a 10% tariff may not seem huge, it will affect several countries where camera manufacturers have production centers. Now,
Mm.
I know that, and this is something else that I was reading in recent days, is that obviously Trump is doing this to protect American jobs and to increase the finances in America and get and get more things being made in America. He wants to
Yeah, he
protect
wants more
American
production
jobs,
in the
and I
States, doesn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, and I get that. But I was reading somewhere that I think it costs anything between something like 8 and 12% more, something like that, eight not percent, sorry, 8 to 12 times more to make, say, photography, say, cameras in the US than it does out in Asia. That's a lot.
Mm.
Because I
Yeah.
think, I don't know, I don't have this article now, but it was saying something like the cost of a Sony A7 or something. It would go up from something like 2,500 to something like 3,400 or something.
Mm.
That's a hefty shift.
Mm.
Okay, that's, because 8 to 12 times more, it was saying. So that's a hell of an increase. But going back to the article, it says here, says, and I'll read it again. While a 10% tariff may not seem huge, it will affect several countries where camera manufacturers have production centers. So Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and the EU will now have a 10% import tariff on all goods.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
things get more interesting when you look at China, 125%. It says why? It says because your third-party lenses in some parts of the cameras are still manufactured in China.
Hmm.
Fujifilm, Sony, Canon, and the OM system still have their operations in China, meaning that
Mm.
the number of cameras imported or some parts made there could have an effect on camera gear. Now, remember, if where Americans do where things are made and manufactured in America, they still use foreign parts. So those foreign
Mm.
parts still have to be bought in. They still have to be imported in. Hypothetical way
Yeah.
out would be for these camera makers to move a large part of their production centers to other countries. However, this would still keep the prices of the devices relatively low. For instance, as we said in previous examples, the Sony A7R Mark IV, this is where I read it. It says, I read this the other day. It says, whose current price is $2,700, would cost $3,600 if Trump had gone ahead with a 36% tariff on Thailand. That's, from 2,700 to 3,670. That's what it is. That's a hell of a shift.
Yeah.
It says, however, a base of 10% means it will now cost, instead of 2,700, it will cost 2,900. Japan will also have a similar bump And on the lens front, Tamron, Sigma will also increase their prices. Since both are made in Japan or Thailand, a 10% increase means something like a Tamron 90mm 2.8, which costs $700 at the moment, will be available for $768. And a Sigma 14mm 1.4 art lens, currently priced at $1,079, will now sell for $1,186, and so on. So it says, since the trade wars all play out, the Economic Times reports that Chinese sellers will increase their prices or will leave the US market. Either way, it is safe to say that camera prices, which have already been increasing, will increase more. And tariffs are one part of the game, the other being purchasing power, which has been affected thanks to recession and inflation. It's just the best way for many. Now, this is what's going to be interesting to photographers, because thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? I needed to buy something. It's just the best way for many is to rely on the second-hand camera market, which will not leave a massive hole in your pocket. Bear in mind that if there is a demand for a particular camera, let's say a Sony A6000, then the seller will increase the prices too. But the increase won't be as high as buying a new device. So, bottom line is things are going to get more expensive. Camera gear will get more expensive.
Yeah.
I was going to say one last thing on that, Mark, is what do we do? Because once camera prices go up, they won't come back down again.
Well, I mean, it's a strange one, really, because there's several ways of looking at it. And again, I'm not really aligning myself with any side in this one. But I mean, global markets, the way they are, you kind of say things, okay, if you buy something from sort of Asia compared to if you're buying something from the States, it's more expensive to buy stuff from the States. Is it, though? Or is it that actually buying it from the States is the price and they're being undercut by Asia? And I think that's where Trump's coming from. I think he's just, he's like taking a big old hammer to it all, though, which is probably not the way to resolve it. So I kind of get that, and maybe we have. I mean, dare I say it? Which kind of seems strange when you think about how much we do pay for all our gear. Have we been paying things a bit cheaply than what we should have done? I don't know. Does this affect us, though? Because obviously, if we buy things from China, the prices shouldn't go up for us here in the UK, should they?
Well, you see, that I don't know.
No, that's the thing that confuses me.
Yeah, not being a financial expert, I don't know the answer to that. However, I think the costs will trickle through. The increases will start to trickle through, I believe.
Well, I guess if they're losing a chunk of their market, let's say Tamron, for example, who make, we said obviously have factories in China. If they lose a market, obviously they've got to put their prices up in the States. If they lose a big chunk of their market there, then I guess we will then have to, the prices will go up here to obviously, so they still balance their books or make the profits that they need to make or whatever it is. I mean, this is happening everywhere. I mean, I read an article on Petapixel about Ilford. So the company Harman, which is the parent company for Ilford and Patterson, they're having to put their prices up because of what's going on. So, and it's happening everywhere. But also all the extra things we have to buy, SanDisk cards, for example, batteries.
Yeah. I think those sort of all those consumables, right? They'll all start to creep up in price. We may not actually realize it straight away, and some find that are expensive. Something on Digital Camera World, it says, which is quite. It says here, camera manufacturers are very adaptable, and they could look to shift their area of focus. For example, rising costs.
No pun intended. Sorry.
Yeah. For example, rising costs could mean less interest in the high-end enthusiast market, but embolden the resurrection of the compact camera should consumers turn to cheaper cameras.
I don't know.
And it says, but I don't know. But basically, what they're saying is that they can. That they can look to adapt, which is what it says. Camera manufacturers are adaptable.
Yes, they can.
They can change. They can change their what they want to focus on. That's what Digital Camera World is saying.
Yeah, but isn't it? It's the phone market. Isn't it the phone market that's killed off the compact camera market, though? And I did
I
hear,
don't know. Yeah,
I think phones are getting a bit of an exemption from China in the tariffs. I think I
they
heard.
are. Yeah, that's right.
So,
Yeah, which is very convenient. Phones and computers. So, are
and for Mr. Musk and all the
Apple
tech bros, I
rubbing their
guess.
hands.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So,
Um,
and reading the comments, I love to read the comments on these articles because sometimes that's where I get a real feel for, an article. What are
mm,
people actually saying? And one of the guys here, one of the people, one of the readers here has responded. It says here, let me sum this up. Everything is going to get more expensive. And in his own literal words, Trump said, I don't care about higher prices. There
mm.
is no upside to his tariffs unless you're a billionaire looking for a tax cut. We are not protecting existing US based industries. There are no camera, bicycle, automotive, or any other industries here in the USA that doesn't rely on imported goods.
Mm.
10% tariff is a bargaining chip. 35% tariff is a cudgel, with which he can claim increased revenue to fund those tax cuts for the wealthy.
Well,
So,
this is the thing, isn't it? Because and this is probably the misstep in what he's doing. Yes, he might have a legitimate point about certain countries undercutting things purposefully, which are costing jobs in the states. There is with most there is this little kernel of truth there, no doubt about it. Um, but sorry, I just accidentally unplugged my microphone. So
that's I'll,
do
I'll
bear
carry
with
on
me.
while you're
Yeah.
plugging that in. But what I guess here really is the people that are listening as photographers and videos. They're thinking, well, look, how is this going to directly affect me? I was thinking of buying a new camera. Should I go and buy it now?
Mm.
Should I hang on and just see and wait it out and see what happens? Should I look at the secondhand market? Because if traders know that camera prices are going to go up, are they going to leave their prices low to get rid of current equipment, or will they sort of be taking advantage of it and saying, hey, look, you know what, we're just going to put our prices up straight away, even though we
Yeah.
bought stock at lower prices? Are we still going to, okay, this camera costs 2,500, we're going to put it up by a couple of £100,
Well,
and then the traders will take,
apparently that's not
yeah.
the case. I mean, I was reading on this Ilford thing, and actually, there's a lot of American stockists that have bought stocks and are going to keep those at the same price until they have to buy new stock of it. So that is the general feel that
You would
I
hope
get.
so. You would
You
hope
would
so.
hope so. But just going back to what I was saying before I accidentally unplugged my microphone, um, you know, there is a kernel in truth in the fact that it's not just Western countries. I mean, you probably heard with our steel in Scunthorpe at the moment. There is an issue with
Hmm.
imported steel undercutting our steel because of cheaper labour. Maybe they don't have the same welfare and all that kind of stuff as our workers do, and that is an issue. But there's no point in putting up all these tariffs and things if you don't have the infrastructure to start making these products yourself. And like you said, Cam, camera manufacturers who have got bases in the States, they're not equipped to make the stuff. And
Hmm.
maybe that should have been
Well,
sorted out
I mean,
first. you know,
yeah, I mean, let's just say Trump for a minute says, okay, right, we're going to manufacture our own cameras. Well, how long do you think that's going to take before they start to get them into production or coming off
yeah,
the production line? They've got to build new
absolutely.
factories. They've got to find skilled staff to do it. And I'm not saying that they can't do any of that. Of course they can. But the thing is, that takes time to do. And
Yeah,
and what happens in the meantime? Um,
exactly. And the other
so it's
problem is
all,
all these manufacturers, like you said, might be wanting to, I don't know, move. Let's say they go, all right, well, these tariffs, if all the big tariffs do come back in, they might think, oh, well, maybe we should move to the States. Maybe we should move a factory into the States. But he might be gone well, he will be gone in, what, three and a
yeah,
half years' time. And we
yeah,
don't know who will be next. I really hope it's not JD Vance because I think he's actually worse than Trump. Um, but and it might just knock all these tariffs on the heads, and therefore you've made that massive move, that massive sort of infrastructure decision for it not to actually really be that much of an issue in 3.5 years' time. So um, it's a tough one
yeah,
for everyone. And of course, what then happens is if we as photographers are having to pay for more higher prices for things, what's going to happen? Our prices will have to go up. You know,
exactly. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it has that knock on effect, a huge knock on effect.
yeah.
I
Then
mean,
a consumer then has to fork out for that as well. So
I mean, there's been, I don't like to say there's been a real move back or whatever, because it's not really, it's just a tiny portion, a proportion of people actually that have an interest in film and paper within
Mm,
photography. And so
mm,
Harman Technology, the parent company of Ilford and Patterson
yeah,
brands, they're raising the price of film and paper and chemicals in the US. And
yeah.
this is purely in response to Trump's
It is. It's purely because of the tariffs.
tariffs. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. So they're going to be raising them, and I think they're going to be raising some like. Here we go. Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
So people in
It's
the
a. I
states
think.
buying Ilford and Harman, 11% price bump.
Yeah. And the same for their
Uh,
Patterson accessories as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so there's going to be about 11% too.
That's right. Yeah, liquid chemicals go up by 12%, and any Patterson
Yeah.
branded products will see their price increase by 11%. Shutter Junkie says that for Patterson, prices might increase even more substantially given Trump's recent 125% tariff.
Yeah.
And it says which is likely to continue to go up since China responded in kind.
Mm,
Um, Look, it's the world that we live in now.
yeah.
And what do we do? Because as I said, I think once prices go up, they're going to stay up, and it's something that we're going to have to get used to. And I think it will affect people in the US first before I think it filters down to Asia, Europe.
Yeah.
Personally, that's what I think. And it'd be interesting to see where the Trump supporters, how what they will think of those increases, because it's all very well Trump saying this is just going to be temporary, but in the long run you're going to be better off. But it affects people with groceries and everyday goods that just want to get by. They don't want a temporary price increase just while things fix themselves. It doesn't
No,
doesn't
I mean,
work like that.
well,
So,
the interesting thing with the supporters is obviously, I mean, he got a, I mean, everyone seems to think he got this massive majority. He didn't. He got a majority, but it wasn't this massive, overwhelming majority that people
mm,
seem to sell it to. But a lot of those people aren't necessarily MAGA supporters. Do you know what I mean? There's only a
no,
actual
it's right.
a smaller percentage of those people, those diehard Trump fans who will follow him, whatever what. There are a lot of people who did vote for him last election who are regretting it and probably
Yeah.
won't go for that sort of politician
Mm,
again. So, hopefully we'll get someone a
mm,
bit more sensible
mm.
um
Yeah. Well,
in the
let's
White House.
wait and see what happens. To the question of, like, if you're thinking of buying a new camera, is it a good idea to go out and get it now, or should you just hang on? Oh,
Mm.
I don't know.
No,
If you can,
well, I mean, in some
if
respects, it might be worth getting it today before it
that's right, yeah,
goes up in price. I don't know. I don't know.
that's right, yeah,
But
exactly. And look at the second-hand market as well. Take a look
yeah,
at this. Keep an eye on the second-hand market. There's some great. There are some great deals and some great equipment that is mint condition, brand new. It's sometimes when you look on a place or on a website and it says it's used, it's mint condition. That could literally be that somebody had bought it, taken it out of the box, and then returned it for whatever reason without ever actually even used it.
yeah.
And suddenly you've got this £2,500 camera and you can buy it for 300-400 quid off. It's a
Mm.
no-brainer. So that's good. Okay, Mark, what do we got next?
Well, I mean, that was quite a big one. Something a bit more of a light-hearted one. Star Wars. You a Star Wars fan?
I've never seen Star Wars, Mark.
Really?
I've never watched it.
Really?
I
I mean,
watched
it's
bits of
on
it.
nearly every Christmas cam. How have you avoided?
Okay, I'm not a huge sci-fi fan. So before you say anything, Mark, I'm
Hmm.
not going to knock Star Wars. I think I've not seen it, but I know that Star Wars it's legendary, it's fantastic, it's brilliant, and whatever. But I've never seen it. I mean, Star Wars. When you think about how long it's been going, and you think about the following that it's had, the cult following, and everything that goes on in Star Wars and whatever, I can name you some of the characters from Star Wars, and I've never really watched it.
Mm,
It's going to be damn good, right? So I'm not going to
yeah.
say I've not watched Star Wars. It's not very good. I'm not saying that at all. I know it's amazing, but I've never actually sat and watched it. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I am I love my sci-fi, and Star Wars. Star Wars was amazing. The first one when it came out, I mean, I wasn't born when it came out, so I
Mhm.
mean, and the effects are amazing, and it really was a step forward in
Mm.
film production, and that's the coolest thing. Sci-fi is great for so many things, storytelling, which is based in the future, but actually the root of the stories are massively rooted in what's going on today, which is what makes good sci-fi.
Mm,
Star Wars is, I mean, I think Star Trek's better. I'm sorry.
mm,
Might
hmm
get a load of haters for that, but I think Trek is better. Star Wars for me, there's probably three good films out of all of the films for me.
hmm
That's I think New Hope because it was the original, Empire Strikes Back, and Rogue One. I think they were the best ones that came out of it. I think Disney's dulled it down a bit. It really did think about. For me, there was a big religion thing, so you must have used the Force, Cam. I mean, I know you haven't
Yeah,
seen Star Wars, but
I
you
know.
must
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
must know what you must there,
You could
which is a
tell me.
mix between
Yeah,
religion and also Tai Chi. I think
yeah.
because you have this chi around you in Tai Chi, don't you? And I think
Okay.
it's all borrowed from all these things, which is great. Hey, look, it's good. If Star Wars is one of the originals is on, and I haven't got anything to do in the afternoon, I will probably watch it. I have seen them all hundreds of times before. Um, but the reason why we're calling this out
Yes.
is because, and this is a story from Petapixel, original Star Wars cut will be shown at a theatre for the first time in decades. A rare screening of the original 1977 Star Wars movie, complete with Han shooting first, if you know,
Mm,
you know, will be shown at a theatre in London this summer. Since its
mm,
release, Star Wars. Now, this is the strange thing for all you who haven't seen Star Wars. This was the first ever Star Wars film, but we've had prequels since, so it's now known as Episode 4. So just to get you guys confused even more. So since its release, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, as it's now called, has undergone several controversial changes made by the film's creator George Lucas. The original movie that sparked one of the biggest franchises of all time is now the Holy Grail. Fans want to watch the film at its first appeared in the 1970s. So that's what diehard fans want to see, the original one.
okay.
The
Yeah.
subsequent alterations made to the film are well documented. Han Solo being shot by the bounty hunter Greedo first, rather than in the original, which the anti-hero Han killed Greedo without being shot at. So it's a big thing for fans. For those of you who aren't diehard fans, I mean that's not a biggie, but for the diehard fans it is. And also there was the addition of the CGI Jabba the Hutt, who was only mentioned by name in the 1977 release. You didn't actually see him. Um, but for those attending the British Film Institute's Film on Film Festival in London, they are in for a treat. Star Wars will play not once but twice on the opening night on June the 12th. Film on Film
Hmm
presents Star Wars exactly as experienced by audiences on its original release screening from one of the precious handful of die transferred. Hang on, I need to reread this. I do apologize, everyone. Someone's trying to call me. That's why I keep having to stop. I am sorry. And they're still trying. Anyway, I'll start that bit again.
Yeah.
Film on Film presents Star Wars exactly as experienced by audiences on its original release. Screening from one of the precious handful of dye transfer IB Technicolor prints produced for the first British release, preserved by the BFI National Archive. The BFI writes in a press release. BFI says the print is unfaded and is ready to transport us to a long time ago and a galaxy far, far away. Obviously, Star Wars fans will know what that is. Back to the moment in 1977 when George Lucas's vision cast a spell on cinema audiences. It's odd though. I mean, there's something here we can look um, about the differences when it's been remade. So last year, Petapixel revealed how Star Wars fans hunt down the original film reels that were returned by theaters so they can restore the movies themselves without Lucas's alterations. Enthusiasts scour eBay collections for the original Technicolor release print, scan it on 4K, clean it at 4K, and then render it at 4K. And there is differences. So there's this guy said to a guy called Robert Williams, who he's on one of these Star Wars trilogy websites. He said, I wanted to show the film to my kids and I wanted to see it in the original version that I enjoyed at their age. Not the one with the already dated looking CGI, oversaturated colours, and strong magenta tints. Now, I wanted to talk about this because it's okay, we're talking about Star Wars, but for me, it's about film and the everlasting presence of film rather than with CGI. If you look at films these days and you see that their overuse of CGI, and it looks dated. And when you see some of the Star Wars prequels, they look more dated than the original 70s films. And I know, Cam, you haven't seen that, but I'm sure you've seen films where adaptations have been done from an old film and it
Mm.
almost dates it to. I mean, there was a massive thing in sort of the late 90s, early 2000s, wasn't it, when everything was just CGI. And you look at it now and it doesn't look very good, does it?
No, and saying I've never seen Star Wars. Obviously, I've seen lots of bits of it. Right, you can't fail to, and so I am familiar with it. But yeah, I totally get it. I get it's you can just go too far with trying to modernize it, shall we, to bring it up to date and to bring it to current, and it takes away from maybe what people really want to see, and that's something that's quite real.
Mm.
In the time that it was actually created, rather than trying to, should we say, not digitize it but AI it type of thing, because
Yeah.
that's effectively what's actually happening. So I think and I think most people that want to watch it, the real purists, will say no,
Mm.
show me the original,
Yeah.
or is as near to the original as you can possibly get, because then I feel that I'm getting the true experience of
Yeah.
really what was meant to be, and it was meant to be at that period in time. It wasn't now.
And how many times you see, if there's a remake of a film and someone goes,
Mm,
yeah, but the
I know
original is
exactly.
better.
Yeah,
And I could name so many films that's
yeah.
been
Of
the
course
case of.
you do. That's right. Yeah,
And
but yes. So yeah. So I was going to say that when you go back to the original, if they don't want to do that, if they really want to modernize it, just make a new film, right?
yeah,
Why,
yeah,
why do something? Just go back, just make a brand new film, new ideas, use current ideas, and say, here's a new film that's coming out.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um,
Anyway, I hope you found that. So just to,
yeah,
to recap, if you're interested in seeing this, it is on June the 12th, and it's it's for those attending the British Film Institute's Film on Film Festival in London. There's going to be two screenings. So yeah, enjoy that. I'm sure all the Star Wars fans will be down there in hordes.
good,
I'm
good
sure
stuff.
they
Now,
will.
I'm sure they will, and yeah, I'm sure it's well worth going as well. Now, Mark, recently you came to me about this, and I think you were quite excited about it because you were going to create a toy action figure of yourself,
Ah,
weren't you?
yes.
Which just seems to be all the range until I rained on it, shall we
I know you
say?
kind of did. I was like, so I saw this story, and I've seen these things all about.
Mm,
I've seen them on social media and stuff, and I was like, I don't know. There's this thing happening at the moment with all these things, and then I saw it was a friend of mine's birthday, and we all wished him happy birthday on WhatsApp, and one of my other friends did this of him, and I was like, okay, so something we can all do then.
mm,
And I
mm.
thought it was really cool. But yeah, go on, Cam. What is this thing
So
that you
basically,
rained on?
what it is people that don't know. It says there's basically an action figure trend on social media, and it's basically where you can create yourself as a figure of an action model in a pack, right? In a visual pack, shall we say?
Mm,
And you type into ChatGPT or whatever it is that you're using, and description of yourself, I'm guessing, and I guess that you can change it slightly. And what happens is that you get an action figure of yourself, okay, like
yeah.
an action man or something. Brilliant. Okay, love it. It's great. And I came across it recently, where in fact a couple of local photographers to me had created one of themselves, and I saw it and I thought, oh yeah, they look pretty cool.
They are cool.
And
I love
then
the little accessories you get as well. I just
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. It's fantastic. However, there is a downside to this, which I think will surprise a lot of people. It says there is an action figure trend. I'm reading a headline here from Tech Radar. It says it's the
Mm,
latest way people are misusing the power of AI, and this is the downside of it, because people
mm,
think that they're creating this completely for free, which in effect they are. Okay, but there is a downside to it, and that it has an impact on that. There is a cost to it, and it has an impact on the environment. So it says here it's about a meme, the true cost of AI memes. It says this is all good fun, but there are concerns. It says, first of all, an AI image generation is not without cost. So sure, there's the price of a Chat GPT Plus membership, which is around $20 a month, although you can generate around 3 images a day on there for free.
Mm.
Basically, if you want to join Chat GPT Plus, there is a cost to it. But a Queen's University Library report claims that artificial intelligence models consume an enormous amount of water and emit large
Mm.
amounts of carbon in their production, training, operation, and maintenance. And Cornell University studies a Cornell University study calls out AI's growing freshwater use footprint, claiming training the GPT language model in Microsoft's state-of-the-art US data centers can directly evaporate 700,000 liters of clean fresh water. Huge data centers that are being built.
Mm.
And they're stressing the system. Says if you don't think these AI trends and the memes, if you don't think these AI trends and the memes they spawn are attracting wide use, stressing the system, and possibly eating natural resources, just look at the Open AI CEO Sam Altman's comments.
Mm.
Okay, and it says we have a joke in my house that every time we create one of these AI memes, it kills a tree. Okay, that is a bit of an exaggeration, but it says it's
Yeah.
safe to say that AI content generation is not without costs, and perhaps we should be thinking about it and using it differently. So it says there is another question: with so many consumers primarily using AI for trend image generation, are they missing the point? The growing intelligence of AI means that someday in the not too distant future, it could be as smart or smarter than us. Okay. Meanwhile, we'll all be using it to create funny movie posters and then shocked when AI takes our jobs. So, and to finish off on, it says there are people using AIs like Chat GPT for these tasks, but those workaday activities are drowned out by a flood of AI trend images and memes like the ones above. Okay, so in other words, AI is being used for a lot of good where we can push things. Okay, and so when you think
Mm.
about the costs are great for those costs. You know, there are costs, but they're doing it for good. But something like this, creating a chat, creating an action man figure, is actually coming at a huge cost.
Mm.
And if you realized how much it was costing and what it does, the amount of water clean fresh water that things like this are using, I think maybe it should be reined in a little bit. Now, aside from the fact that, hey, it's a lot of fun, what's wrong with having a bit of fun, as you said to me, Mark? There's nothing wrong with
Well,
having a
yeah,
bit of fun. Everything
I think
costs, isn't
something
it?
else you read to me was about we should be using AI for something a bit more worthy. Well, that
Hmm.
doesn't wash for me. You know, actually having a bit of fun is incredibly worthy. I think
Oh,
we
I
all
agree.
work
Yeah.
really hard and we
Yeah.
all have our stresses and, something a bit of light relief, which is what this is.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is funny because you can do little pranks on your mates with them. I mean, as I said, my mate's birthday the other day. My other mate did one of these, and the accessories were things I can't really describe on here, But it was a little rip, and it was funny,
Hmm.
and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So the worthiness part, I don't have much truck with. The environmental thing. So yes, that's an issue. That is an issue. Um, and I guess that is something that we all need to sort. I mean, this stuff is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. These data centers are here to stay. In fact, we did an episode about cloud data centers a good couple of years ago now, I think, didn't we? And about the water and how much water
Hmm.
it's demanding and the effect it has on neighboring towns and communities. Um, and the effect is
Hmm.
negative. It is absolutely negative. We always say, "Oh, it's in the cloud," the whole cloud. It's somewhere up there, isn't it? It's not. They're in these massive, massive server data centers, and they're using up a lot of our resources for it. Um, so, what do we do about it? I don't know. Trends
Yeah.
are we're gonna be here all the time. I don't know what you can do about that. Someone does something cool, other people want to repeat it. Um, I
It's a bit.
it's I
It's a
don't know
bit
what
like
to do about that.
it's a bit like meat. It's a bit like meat production. Okay.
Yeah,
Now, Mark, I know you like a burger. Okay, and
Yeah.
but and meat production comes at a huge cost, and the with these, let's say, out of sight meat farms, shall we say,
Mm.
they're somewhere, they exist, the general
Yes.
public don't see it. It comes at a
No.
huge cost and a huge detriment to the environment as well. Look at the Amazon rainforest. I think a lot of that is just being cleared and chopped down for meat production, which is
Yep.
just vile, it's disgusting, but it's
Yep.
out of sight, out of mind.
Hmm.
So as humans, we carry on with it, don't we? We
We
carry on
do.
consuming meat in vast quantities.
Yeah.
Food is grown now more than ever before, and it's grown in such vast quantities. It's grown, and it's got chemicals thrown on it, so it will last for a long time.
Yeah.
There's all everyday things around us basically come at a huge cost, and out of sight, out of mind, as they say. So,
Yeah.
who's going
I
to
mean,
stop it?
well, you can go. I don't know. I mean, I guess the biggest problem, the biggest crux of all of this is the amount of human beings that are on this planet. Um, the meat production has been going on for a very, very long time. The difference is the consumer is greater in number. Um, what we're going to do about that? I mean, there's some really draconian things you can do about that, which I don't think's cool. I think actually, I know we were speaking about China early on in the episode. They did have was it a two-child cap? I think they had per family,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
I
I
think that
under
stopped though, didn't it?
I think it has stopped now,
Mm,
but they definitely had it because they needed to reduce their population. And you can't. On one hand, you think, well, actually, that's probably good for the planet. On the other hand, you think, well, it's kind of infringing people's civil liberties. Um, so that aside, I'm not sure what to do. We probably need to be more responsible with the fact that okay, we have X amount of people on this planet, and how we use the planet. We need to be a bit more responsible with it. And yes, I guess making an action figure of yourself probably isn't responsible, but there's a lot of things. Formula One probably isn't responsible with the amount of carbon footprint that they have. Um, football. You know, all our
it's true,
sporting
yeah.
occasions. We could go down to everything. Um,
And
the
I guess also,
COP
when it,
meetings, the COP thing.
yeah,
When they all get together, COP 25 or whatever it is. They all take private jets to some place
mm,
somewhere. You know, the carbon footprint of that is massive. So what do we do? I don't. I
mm.
don't know.
And also, just sort of to finish it there, I think also as photographers, we're responsible. I mean, we take pictures and we just store those files.
Yeah.
We keep, and we don't need them. And if they're stored up in the cloud, we're using up. It all comes at a cost.
Yeah.
All comes at a cost. So, should we take more responsibility for
Yeah.
how much we're storing and how much information that we have and consume and keep and don't get rid
Yeah.
of?
But not
So
just photos. It's also
yeah,
emails.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Emails come at a cost. We think, oh,
Yeah,
it's
you
all
got
free, but
thousands
it's
of
not.
emails still on the
Hmm,
that's being stored in a data storage thing somewhere. I'm a shocker
exactly.
for that. I'm holding my hands up. I am an absolute shocker for that. And for
Yeah,
pictures, pictures on your mobile phone, that's all
yeah,
stored in a data center.
and burgers as well, Mark. Right.
Burgers aren't stored in a data center. Give over.
No.
But
Right.
moving
Okay, but
swiftly on.
moving swiftly on. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So what we've got, we're going to move on to next is that H&M, very popular fashion store,
Yes,
here in the UK, well, here worldwide, actually. Now we've spoken about this before, but the
we
fashion
have.
retailer H&M is going to start using AI, and we're talking about AI again, to create
Yeah,
digital twins of 30. It
yeah,
says it will use the AI doppelgangers in some social media posts and marketing in the place of humans if given permission by models. We
yeah,
are curious
yeah.
to explore how to showcase our fashion in creative ways and embrace the benefits of new technology while staying true to our commitment to personal style, says their
Mm,
chief creative officer in a statement.
yeah,
Says despite H&M's claim it would not change its human-centric approach, some fear the move could impact other models, photographers, and makeup artists.
yeah,
So it says here, American influencer Morgan Riddle called H&M's move shameful in a post on her Instagram story. She says, "Oh, rest in peace to all the other jobs on shoot sets that this will take away," she posted.
yeah. I
Now,
mean,
I'm always a little bit sort of wary, when people say, "Oh, all those jobs are going to go," because I'm a firm believer in that we will lose jobs, but new jobs will be created, jobs that we don't even know exist at the moment.
Yes,
So we will create new jobs,
well,
but
it's certain
yes.
professions, though, isn't it? I mean,
Mm,
what really struck me was the people that they're using it. So H&M are in a they're basically using a company called Uncut, which is a Swedish firm, Uncut, for
mhm,
their development of the model's AI likeness. And Uncut says on its website that it is helping big brands say goodbye to outdated production methods. Now, if that isn't an attack on what we do, then I don't know what is.
mm,
That is a company who are trying to replace the photo shoot with AI. Now, I guess that's what companies do. I guess photography did that to sketch artists back in the day. So I guess what goes around comes around in that respect, and times do move on. Um, but I just think there's just something that yes, the job losses in in this section. So it's not just photographers. You've got, like I said, makeup artists, um, lighting technicians, key grips, all these things.
mm,
Uh, set designers, um, all this kind of stuff. But also, there's something that with the model industry, you have a certain set of models. Obviously, then they get older. They'll then go into something else, and then you have new talent coming through. With this, I'd imagine it might. I'm worried that might stifle that sort of
mm,
ecosystem, if you get me.
mm,
I'm not sure if ecosystem is the right word, but if you have a model who is then being made immortal by the ways of
mm,
AI,
mm.
that is going to stop new talent coming through, surely.
Of course it will. Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
just feel that we're so in on this sort of digital highway, which I do like. I like tech. I like the digital stuff.
Mm,
It's where we're going. But we do have to also make sure that we don't get so consumed by it that that's all we do. Having AI models is, we have all these issues about size zero. Remember, size zero was a big thing and all that kind of stuff. Well, because it doesn't represent real people. Well, these AI models certainly won't represent real people because they're not real people. I know they're a
mm,
doppelganger from someone who is real, but
mm,
who's to say that doppelganger then doesn't get adjusted and modified, and then it
mm.
becomes something that is so away from human touch and humanity. It's
Mm. But I think these AI models will sort of grow old as well, if you know what I mean. What they'll do is they'll use them like it's a real person. People view them as, oh, that's whoever her name is. They say, oh, it's that amazing model, Joanne Smith.
yeah.
Okay, and great. Oh, she's getting older. They'll let those people grow older, and then they'll retire them, and
No, they
possibly
won't.
they'd off.
No,
No,
they won't.
because then
Because then you got
because
the
then
tape.
what? Because then they'll want to bring in new models, don't they? I mean, I'm only talking about AI models here. I'm not even talking about and then also going on, I'm going to just going back from the article from one of the many articles is about about these people that are going to have their digital twins, because they should be, should they, or would they be compensated? Now H&M have said models would be compensated for use
Yeah,
of their digital
they
twins
have.
in a similar way to current arrangements, which sees them paid for use of their images based on rates agreed by their agent. So,
Mm.
what might happen is that these people might be thinking, great, I'm not only, it almost becomes a passive income for these, for the real models, thinking, oh, right, okay, well, my AI's earning me money because they're going to have rights on wherever they've used, rather than, I'm guessing, a one-off fee or something.
Yeah.
Um, but we've got a lot of that, and it says here, Paul W. Fleming, General Secretary of Trade Union Equity, which represents fashion models in the UK, said models having full control over their likeness and fair pay for its use was vital. Now, of course it is. It says, whilst we support brands who appear to be moving in this direction, this must be backed up by the widespread adoption of AI protections in union agreements, to protect workers' rights,
Yeah.
of course. And it says, but it does go on also to say fashion firms, including Hugo Boss and Levi Strauss and company, says, have also dabbled in using generative AI for product images. Denim giant Levi said in 2023 it would trial the use of AI generated model images, which of course it was. But it says as a way to increase diversity, which doesn't really quite make sense to me there. It says
Yeah,
following
that is nonsense.
criticism, no, following criticism though, it clarified it would not scale back live photo shoots with models.
And that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
They're always going to scale back that sort of thing.
mm,
And I'm just
mm,
going back to the models, the AI models getting older. They won't. They'll just use the same thing. It'll be the model might be dead in several
mm,
years' time, and they'll still be using it. I mean, that's almost morbid. Do you know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
I mean, to be fair, I did read. There's a quote here by Matilda Gavlani. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Who is one of the models who's going to have the digital doppelganger?
mm,
And she said, "Oh, she's like me without the jet lag."
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's like they don't have to do the travel, which I guess is
Mm,
better for the environment in that respect. We've just
yeah.
been banging on about that, but I don't
Which I
know.
get,
I don't know.
yeah, because it's like that. It's that passive income. I mean, with a model,
Mm,
say for example, a model might say, "Great, I've got this shoot in Paris," and then thinking, "Oh, I've got this great opportunity to go and do this shoot for whoever it is. Let's just say it's I
mm,
don't know, say Levi's. I
yeah.
can't do it, but they need someone. I'm going to lose out on that. I can't. They can't work around me. They're going to have to schedule someone else. Going to lose that money. Hey, doesn't matter. They've got my AI, and I'm going to earn money out of that AI. So
Yeah.
maybe it's good for them. But then you might say, well, that's taking the job away of another model that might have got
Who
that
could have
job.
made it?
So
Or how about a
yeah,
model who lives actually in Paris who is French?
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
That's right. Yeah,
They could have
yeah,
done that.
yeah.
Um,
We're interesting times from that point of view.
yeah,
And it's something we've spoken about many times in the past. We spoke
we
about this
have.
when we first started the pod. So,
Yeah,
and it's something that's only going to get become more of a conversation. So,
yeah,
something
absolutely.
something for the future, well, something for now and for the future.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, should we grab a quick drink
Yes, we shall.
and we'll move on? Right, Mark. I recently bought. I know I mentioned this on the show a few weeks ago, and I didn't have it with me, and I haven't got it with me again today, actually. So must apologise. But I bought a new camera, a Nikon ZFC,
Mm.
and it's not full frame camera. I got it for two reasons. One, because it looks really cool and retro, and I love the feel of it. Took me back
Yeah,
to film days.
yeah.
And secondly, I wanted a camera where that I felt that I could just pick it up and go and just shoot for myself if I ever wanted to, because I don't really do that. I've not done it for many years. I wanted to get back into that a little bit, and I didn't want to pick up sort of my Canon R6 or the Sony's or Nikon, whatever I've got,
Mm.
because they're my work tools, they're my work
Yeah.
cameras. I just didn't want to anyway. So I sort of splashed out on a Nikon ZFC, and I've loved having it. It's been great, and I leave it at home. I don't. It's got nothing to do with work. It's not work related at all.
Mm.
I love using it. It's got a real retro look, real retro feel, and it's been great. Now, the interesting thing here is that there's two things about it that that would have stopped me from buying it had I been using it for professional use. First of all,
Mm.
it's only got a one card slot in there. Okay, so it's only one
Okay.
memory card, so I can't back my images up.
Yeah. So that's no
Okay,
good.
okay, so I can't use it professionally for that. And also, it's not a full frame camera.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
when it comes to full frame cameras, professionally, we're using full frame cameras because we talk about quality.
Yeah.
And when I bought this camera, I didn't look to see what megapixels it was. I knew it wasn't full frame. Didn't bother me. I knew
Mm.
that it was going to shoot really good pictures, put a really good lens on it. You're going to get high quality pictures.
Mm.
Because for me, the the quality of those images is still going to be it's still going to give me incredible quality. It's about a year old camera from Nikon, new technology, put a decent lens on it. You're going to get good pictures. I
Yeah.
didn't need a full frame camera to tell
Mm.
me that I'm getting high quality images. I'm still getting
Yeah.
high quality images. And is image quality all that matters, or have we taken that too far? Okay. Are we looking at pictures and megapixels and saying, well, this is 23 megapixels, this is 42, this one, oh damn it, I've got to get the new Nikon Z9 because it's 80 million pixels or whatever it is, right? 8
Mm,
megapixels. Is how much do we see that, as how much do our eyes see that say this is a great quality picture?
mm. I
I went
think,
into Curry's to buy a TV, which is a normal TV store here in the UK,
yeah,
and I went to buy a new TV, and I looked at one, I thought, love that. It's made by whoever, Sony, Samsung, whatever.
yeah,
Okay,
whatever.
and I find out that it's a HD,
Mm,
okay, TV, and then I look along to the TV next to it on the rows of TVs that I have, and I think that picture looks a bit brighter, looks a bit clearer, and I look at it and I think, why is that? It must be a different make or something. Oh no, it's a 4K. And then I
mm,
move across and I see the 8K video TV. I think,
mm,
wow, look how bright that is. And
mm.
then someone says, oh no, but you want to look at the OLEDs, and you think, whoa, that's incredible. It's so lifelike and everything.
Yeah.
Had I just seen the HD on its own that I saw first time and I was really impressed with it, is that not good enough for my use? Do I have to go and get an OLED? I mean, how much better does it need to get? And it's the same with photos as well.
Yeah, so I think professionally, we have to, as part of our profession, have the best quality that we can.
Yeah.
Now, I use an R6 for weddings. Um, and I use an R6 because A, it's mirrorless, so you got the exposure simulation, which really does help. I was pretty good without it, but it's just quicker with it, and your competitors have got it, so you have to compete. It's not the biggest on the pixelation. I've forgotten what it is. It's like 23, maybe,
Mm. No,
or
it's not.
20.
Yeah,
I don't think it's even
something like
23. I
that.
think it's like
Yeah,
20, something like that.
yeah.
But the fact that it has less pixels means it's better in low light, which actually for weddings is probably more
Right. Yeah.
advantageous to having the R5, which is, was it about 50 million pixels or something like that? Is it
Mm.
48 or something? Um, having being able to have less noise in low light conditions is better, especially if you're in some church or whatever it is. You've got that versatility.
Mm.
So in that respect, you're probably getting a better image with the lower pixels because it's better in low light. So it's about using things for different for different matters. However, if you're doing copy, if you've got a copy business, so you're doing
Mm.
taking photographs of portraits, paintings, that kind of thing, then you probably do need more the R5 because it is that you need that definition
Mm.
for that job. So let's face it, it's really down to the right tool for the right job. When I do my studio stuff, I actually use my Mark III because I know it's got a higher pixelation rate and I don't have to worry about low light conditions because it's in a studio. And I don't need exposure simulator either. So
Mm.
I
Yeah.
use I use the DSLR. Um, but have we gone so crazy that we're kind of not enjoying some of the imperfections in photography that you had when the quote unquote masters were around? I mean, I guess Ansel Adams is a bit different because he was F64 and that was all about clarity, wasn't it? Um, but if you
Mm.
look at some of the
Mm.
Paris
Yeah.
photographers, Cartier-Bresson and Tourneur and all those, um, you look at the
Mm.
photography, it's very much street photography. They're soft. You know, the
Yeah. Of
images
course
are
they
soft
are.
because
And
the technology of autofocus wasn't there. Um, so of course,
yeah.
but does that lessen the picture? If you now look at a Cartier-Bresson, do you suddenly think, oh no, it's not good anymore because
No, because
my
all you. Yeah.
my
Because
R6 can take that much better focus? No, of course not. Of course not.
because you're looking at content. That's all
Yes,
you're looking at.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think maybe in some respects, when you're looking at, I guess the art world has a lot more truck with this sort of thing, as far as
Mm.
you don't have to have the highest quality camera to be a decent visual artist. But that is
Yeah.
a very different thing to being a professional photographer.
Yeah, I think so. Because if I shoot something for a commercial client, I don't know where they're going to use it. It might be used online, it might be used on a billboard somewhere, whatever.
Yeah.
So you need to take quality into consideration,
Mm.
because they're the quality of image that we're looking at these days. But if you go for feel of image and you look at, so go back and look at, like the classic David Bailey portraits, they were
Yeah.
really sharp images. But in actual fact,
Mm.
if you put them like for like, say with a current, they say, the R1 or something like that,
Yeah.
and the R1, the, the images are going to be crisper, they are going
Yeah.
to be sharper, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be better images. And I've seen people do it. They'll shoot a picture, say, wow, look at the quality of that, and look at it on the back of the camera, and they'll start to pinch the back of the screen and
Yeah.
expand it and say, whoa, look at the quality of that. So look at the quality of it, but is the picture any good? If the picture's
Yeah.
crap,
Yeah.
the picture's crap. If the
Yeah.
content
Absolutely.
rather, right, is no good, then what's the point in, we get people, a lot of photographers get carried away on the quality of the image, the
Mm.
quality of my image. Look at this. I mean, look at, it's 40 megapixels. Look at this. This is incredible. I don't care. I don't like the picture. It's no good, right?
Yeah. No, that's absolutely
Right.
right. I think we've forgotten about content. Now, I know you talked
Mm,
about the Nikon camera that you bought. Well, I a few years ago acquired this camera right here, and I haven't
mm,
used it properly yet. But
mm.
this is a Voigtlander
Voigtlander. Yeah.
Prominence. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a rangefinder.
Yeah.
So you've got you can see focus through there. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't really see it, but also you focus it, and you can see it's got like a split thing, so it comes together when you're in focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the viewfinder, but that viewfinder is horrible. It's not a very good viewfinder at all. But actually, your rangefinder is through this here, so you kind of compose through there and focus through there. From what I gathered, I mean, I haven't used this properly yet,
Yeah.
um, but the engineering of this is beautiful, and there's so much soul in this, right?
Yeah.
One thing I really like about it, because we can change this lens. So I've got this 100 mil, and I've also got a 35 mil, and the range would be different in the viewfinder. So all you
Yeah.
do is you turn that round, and now it's for 35 mil. Just little
Yeah.
things like that, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. However, right, there's absolutely zero chance you could photograph anything sport related with this camera, because by the time he sorted everything out, um, the moment would have gone, and someone with an R1 will have gotten it straight away.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to having a go with this, because I know that the photos won't be pin sharp. I know they won't be, but there'll be another feel to the photos that you get with this that you
Mm.
won't get. It's almost like the stuff we do now is so clinical. Yeah.
I think that's, yeah, I think that's what it is. Everything has become so clinical. It's all about sharpness and quality rather than the feel. And if you take a picture and it's slightly out of focus, people are looking at it. I'm not saying the whole image is out of focus. I'm just saying that, that they think they might look at a picture. Oh, I can get a much sharper picture than that. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
you can do. You're always going to be able to, because depending on what lens and stuff that you use. But what's the actual feel of it like? And then once you've now gone into editing, and when you look at some pictures online, they've been so over edited that they're so sharp, that they're too sharp, that it
Mm.
just takes away from what is the real feel of an image. And when you go back to look at, I was talking about David Bailey's famous sort of 60s, 1960s portraits, and you look at Cartier-Bresson stuff, and you look at
Mm.
those, you look at Diane Arbus's work, you look at all of those great photographers, the legendary Magnum photographers, and the war photos that were shot.
Yeah.
Well, you enlarge them up, and all you see is grain and all of that. But it
Yeah.
doesn't take away from great photography, great images.
Exactly.
And they never spoke about sort of megapixels. Obviously, they didn't have them then. They'd speak about ISO
No.
and quality and all of that. But do we get hung up on? Well, we do. Photographers do get
Yeah.
hung up on all of that. We do
But then
see
we're
adverts
told
saying,
to, I guess.
and we're
We're
told
told
to.
to by
That's
the
what
tech,
camera.
by tech. Tech is almost telling us this is what we've got to look at. Again, going back to this has actually done an Arctic expedition, this camera,
Yeah.
right? So, and a lot of that, I guess, because it's a rangefinder, you're not really looking at through to see what's pinned. It's all done. A lot of it is done by, okay, so if you got it on this f-stop, you're going to have this range, and you got to kind of know, well, if you're 3 meters away or 4 meters away, you're going to have a depth of field, and that's what you go with, because you're not really looking at what's in focus and not, because you're looking through the range to compose. But and that's not something we do. You know, the camera does so much stuff for us. There's a lot more thinking time using that than there is with the R6.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, and so I'm sort of saying, or we're sort of saying to photographers out there, when you're shooting, and we're not talking about shooting professionally here. We're just shooting for yourself, going out, take some pictures. You know, I've always said, and I say to a lot of students, is that some of the best photos that you can plan everything with shutter speed, learning shutter, aperture, manual. You can learn all the technical aspects of your camera and all of that. But some of the best photos that you'll ever take are all going to be all those spontaneous ones, the ones that you never thought about. It was shot in a split second. You picked your camera up, and you might look at the picture and say, "Oh yeah, I know, but it's not quite perfect because of this. And it's not quite sharp here and all that." Who cares? Sometimes did you feel that you got a picture that you wanted and you managed to get it? Then great, and let it be like that, and leave it at that. Don't whack a filter on it. Don't try and sharpen it. Don't try and do any of that. Just leave it as it is and say, this is what it was. This is what I got. And we accepted those things when it was in the film days so much for, because it was always going to be expensive, or we didn't have the skills to be able to change anything, or to sharpen it or put a filter on it. We couldn't do any of that. And now I think for a lot of photography, I'm not talking about professional photographers here, but a lot of that has gone out, and camera manufacturers push the fact that, hey, our cameras are so much more sharper. You've got far more megapixels. Because why? Because they want to sell more product. So they're saying you should be shooting fast. They're not going to turn around and say, this lens doesn't shoot that, the images aren't that sharp. They're not going to promote that. So with the ZFC, coming back to that, a lot of reviews I read were people saying it's not a brilliant camera. It looks cool, looks great. If you want to use it, then great. But there are better cameras out there that will take sharper images, cleaner images. You're going to get all of that. But why not just sort of say, do you know what? It's not the perfect camera. There are other cameras out there, but if you want it, you're going to love using it. But you don't really hear that. You don't really hear that, which I think is is a bit of a shame. And I found that I've been taking pictures with the ZFC. Now, I'm not going to try and big myself up here, but I generally, I look at a picture that I take and think, wow, that's great. But because it's what I do, right? I'm experienced. I know what to look for and whatever. But for a lot of people, they should just sometimes just accept what you've got and enjoy that, and enjoy it for what it is. And don't go into a shop and be sold on megapixels of a camera. Oh, we'll get this one. It's only another £200 more, and it's 40 megapixels rather than, well, this one's only 18. Well, I mean, that's still damn good, right? Right.
18 is still going to be good.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And a lot lower is going to be fine. So it's it was really about that. Is sometimes the perfect images, don't delete those images either. Sometimes the imperfect are the true to life images, shall we say. They're the moment that you actually captured.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. All right, Mark, let's give a quick shout out to the patrons. Do you want to?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I absolutely will. So I want to be a big thank you to Frank Case, Amara Zainab, Carl Sherville, Rob Percy, Craig Chuck, Emily Brown, and Nick Payne. Thank you ever so much. And Craig, it was great seeing you at the show. We actually met you in person, so that was lovely to see you, and you actually made it onto the podcast as well, which is fantastic. So yeah, great meeting up, and all the best with your new university course.
Good stuff. Guys, thank you very much. We will see you on the next episode.
Also, sorry, just one more thing.
Oh,
I did forget.
Sorry.
I did forget. Yes, one of our other patrons, and he's been on the show a few times, Rob Percy. He was the one who actually turned me on to the H&M story. He was the one who posted. So just want to say thank you for Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Putting that to our attention too.
Good stuff.
If anyone else has any stories they want us to talk about, just message
Send them in.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Send them in.
Good stuff. All right, guys. We'll see you at the next one. Cheers.
Bye for now.